Hey guys, Youngblood with you, and we got a second Q&A document regarding the MISC Prospector, so let's go ahead and go through what information we ended up getting in that article. Now we're going to start off with the first question that was answered, primarily because it was one of the more interesting ones, and one that I didn't actually even think to ask, and that was if you can end up setting the Prospector almost on like an auto work while you do something else like scan the asteroid field for your next potential target. And the answer was sort of yes. Now, you could technically, while landed, leave your laser to do its thing. However, since mining is so dependent on accuracy and managing your heat and power, you're really going to see a loss in your overall production, and the laser could end up being damaged as a result. So I read that as a you can do it, but I wouldn't type of answer. Now, if attacked, we get confirmation that the ship has minimal weapons, light shielding, and few countermeasures. So you're absolutely going to want to bring an escort if you're doing this sort of work in a dangerous area. And if you do get into trouble, there is no escape pod on the Prospector, and the bed is just a bed like that on the Starfarer. So you're going to end up needing to run out the door to escape. But they do make note that it's a small enough ship that getting to the door is not really a big task. Now, speaking of being engaged, they also make note that you can technically jettison your cargo, and depending on the mass of what is in those saddlebags, you might end up seeing a slight improvement on speed and agility, but they don't really necessarily make it sound like it's going to be a big improvement. So in my mind, that sounds like it may be an absolutely last-ditch effort, but also kind of reaffirms the requirement of an escort to help keep you safe. Now, getting back to some of the specifics of mining, the Prospector is going to have the ability to filter out unwanted rock and kind of toss it back out the back of the ship. However, it isn't going to have the super advanced refining abilities that something like the Orion is going to have. And while they haven't confirmed it yet, they imagine that you're going to be able to reassign which saddlebag is receiving your ore, which I think is really a good thing, because if you find several different valuable pockets with different minerals in them, being able to assign ore 1 into bag A and ore 2 into bag B, that really opens up better and easier sales and sorting later. I think there were some thoughts initially about the Prospectors potentially interacting with the Orion in sort of a team venture, and while you could absolutely make that work in an effective way, with the Orion going for the big stuff and the Prospectors pinpointing their efforts, you're not going to be dropping stuff off for processing or docking with the Orion. About the only real connection between the two is that the Orion has storage on board, so they could technically carry your full saddlebags of ore and rock and materials. Now, they did mention again, though, that the synergy between the whole series and the Prospector was there. So that seems to be the natural team effort there. Maybe like something like a couple of Prospectors, a whole series ship, and a few escorts. And I had someone ask me in the comments if salvage would be an option for this ship, and I said I didn't think so based on the specialization of the storage, and it turns out that I was right in that assumption, and then there's currently no plans for different lasers or cutters or storage to make that happen. Now, there were a few other questions, but nothing too noteworthy, but if you want to read the whole Q&A, I've got a link in the description to this video. Overall, though, the ship still seems to be specialized to the role of mining, but it should perform very well in that role. And it's a ship that I'm still very happy to pick up, especially with more information that we get about it. So if you still have questions that weren't answered, I can lend my opinion if you end up putting those in the comments. Otherwise, stay tuned for a whole lot more content. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend, and take care.